So, once again, I'll say this. If you free reality or your experience from the shapes you would impose upon it through thoughts, words, expectations, knowledge itself, if you free your experience from the tyranny of your knowing, from the shapes you would impose upon your experience, you in turn are set free from the same tyranny. Because the one who does not impose any shapes or conditions or knowledge upon experience itself is the one without knowledge, without shape. But it cannot be known in and of itself, because then that would also put it back into a shape. So, practice looking at clouds and noticing the shapes that appear, but also be aware that the shapes that are appearing in the clouds are only happening within you. The clouds are just clouds. Without you there to impose your knowledge upon them, no shapes would appear. So look at clouds and practice being the one who just sees clouds coming and going, and imposing no shape upon them, and seeking no shape in them. Be that one inside. Don't let recognition of shapes deter you. Stay with that one. And when you can settle there, then move about reality, keeping that same state. And it cannot be known in and of itself. Because as soon as it's known, you then will become an individual within this reality, separate again. Because all of the shapes you're seeing in those clouds are literally you being reflected on something that's formless, that's not separate or in any shape, that's one. So your current experience itself is literally a projection of your level of understanding of what you are. Nothing more, nothing less. But now you can choose to free reality from your separate self, and in turn have the same happen to the one you always were. And understanding you have the choice points to the fact that you were never in any bondage at all. You just made yourself ignorant of the choice. Let it be, without a peep, without any interjection, without a thought, without a hope, without a desire, without an expectation, without a memory. Just let it be. Another way to practice this is to sit down with a long stream of numbers. Perhaps your phone number with its area code and country code and date of birth numerically, and say street address number and postal code. Write those numbers down on a page. And now I want you to look at those numbers and no longer see your phone number, your postal code, your street address, your area code, your birth date. I want you to look at those numbers and feel the urge to vomit your knowledge upon them, and also the one who can look at them and just have them be a stream of numbers that don't mean anything to you. This is another form of the same practice of practicing not coding your experience before your mind can digest it. Therefore, never being in touch with things as they are. Removing the habit of vomiting up your knowledge upon your experience so that your mind can digest it. The mind is like a spider in this sense. For a spider, when it traps something in its web, does not eat it. It wraps it up and then injects within that a venom or bile from its own stomach that slowly dissolves the thing in its death cocoon until it becomes the same substance, like a goo, that is palatable to the spider's own stomach, and then it ingests that and sucks it out in liquid form. And your mind is doing that with your current reality by vomiting up your desires and your memories and your concepts upon it before you can digest it through that same mind. So you're living through and of and within this death cocoon of the mind at all times. Break free and experience reality raw, without the simulation you're playing out over it. So whether you write these numbers down and look upon them until they mean nothing and experience that directly, or look up to a cloud until there's only clouds and the shape never crosses your awareness, or you sit down with yourself and love everything that comes, like an endless ocean that's bottoming out all waves that arise in an endless ocean of love and acceptance, no matter what it is, with complete neutrality, until no more waves arise within you. I encourage you to try. You owe this much to yourself within this life, to at least try and be that without knowing it. Amen.
Yeah, and that's really the key to it all, really, is to be fully open to it, to try and give up all concepts of what you think it might be. That sort of sense of neutrality that we're always speaking about. We're basically always going to, sound like a broken record in this podcast because we're speaking about the same thing the entire time. However, we speak about how to get there or what it is in different ways because words can't embody what that is. So we're always going to try and give you ways and methods in which you can experience that which you are without it being a concept. And your mind might be going crazy saying, what is he talking about or what are they talking about? But your heart might say, I don't know, but it feels right. Something feels right about it. That's the key, is just to let that feeling expand within your being and let that envelop the doubt and the uncertainty and the unknowing that you may be experiencing about that which we're speaking of, or maybe that which you've been seeking for years. It's key to have that openness, that no matter what's being said or who's saying it or from which cultural background it's being expressed from, that you're fully open to that space within you that allows it all to come in. Because, like K-Man was expressing there, you project what you believe reality to be from your mind, and you create reality from that space. But reality itself, life itself, is just one thing, one whole thing. And the way that the human being's mind is structured is to break it down into more manageable bite sizes to help the human being survive its environment. But as you can see, our society has developed to a point where we no longer need to base our existence on survival, really. But our mind is still projecting its fear and unknowing onto reality. And our entire world and civilization is created from that fear. Thus, we're born into this world where we believe we're separate. And that separation causes anxiety, which leads to fear, which leads to anger, which leads to conflict and hatred. And at some point, those negative aspects of life may cause you to turn back inwards and reject the traditional way of life and what we think it is. That may be the trigger for you to start looking back inwards and say, I'm sick of it all. I'm done with this. Why am I living a life that is not fulfilling, doesn't lead me to happiness and peace? And so many of us out there are feeling this. If you're listening to this, it's probably true for you. Because you're searching for more meaning in your life. Because what you've achieved and what you've attained in your life hasn't fulfilled that hole and emptiness within you. But take heart, the fact that you're listening to this is a great sign and movement to your true self and the joy that exists there. the only true place of happiness. So if you can, if this is the first podcast of ours that you're listening to, I encourage you to go back and listen to everything else that we discussed. And follow what we're pointing to. Because we're just pointing you back home. To the place of stillness and peace and love that you are naturally. But you've come to believe that you're not.
The truth is that you don't need to look to anyone else's opinion, any book, any experience, or any concept that will ever arise in your mind to tell you what life is. Because you are life. And nothing can tell you what you are innately. You were born as life already. You came into this world as life. And nothing can ever change that. You're just here to get to know yourself. The tree, the insect, the bird, the cell, the baby. Many forms, but it's all life. The same as you. It's what you are. Drop all the forms and all the names and all the concepts that are like the clothes and disguises and shapes that life has taken on. Remove it all and just be life. You don't need to know anything to be that. Know yourself as you are. I am.